Hey guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my full thoughts and opinions on the ORION welder versus the Amazon welder for permanent jewelry. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. All right, let's get into it. If you're new here, I own Essbe, which is a jewelry business. We've been in business for about 5 years. And earlier this year, we started offering permanent jewelry. And I actually also have permanent jewelry training. I have 5 years of experience making jewelry. And so it was a natural progression to offer permanent jewelry, but of course, I'm not a welder. So when I started looking at welders, I was so confused by the differences, the cost difference, what the features were, and it was just really hard. I actually asked my dad for advice and he was like, I don't know. This is not the kind of welding that I've ever done. He's part of the reason why I ended up investing in the ORION versus the Amazon, just because it seemed like that was the gold standard, but I wasn't sure why. I am collaborating with Sunstone on this video, which I am so excited about. I love my welder, and I also did email my contact at the company just to make sure that we are on the exact same page where I can be completely honest and have any opinion that I have, because an honest review is so important to me, and I think that it's important to you and your trust in me. So that was my #1 priority, and that is what the deal is. So I'm going to go through, I will show setting up the welder, testing it out, showing you all of the different features of both of them, and then give you my final thoughts. The first thing I want to do is take you through the buying experience. If you buy on Sunstone, this is what their website looks like. As you can see, the welders listed here. Down below, you'll see a bunch of the details for it. And then you can also click on the user manual where it has all of the instructions on how to get it set up. And they also have their phone number at the top of the website in case you have questions or need anything. And then on Amazon, there are a few different places that you can buy the welder from. As you can see, I will type in the name of both of these into Google and neither of them come up with anything. So you can't actually get a hold of any company. There isn't a user manual, and a user manual doesn't come in the box. So you're just kind of on your own, left to figure out what you should do and how you should set it up, which is not great, especially when you don't have anyone to contact for it. All in all, when you go onto the Sunstone website and you buy from them, you are getting a much more helpful and personalized experience than you would buying from Amazon, because obviously there's not a brand behind the non-branded welder. When you look at the price tags, they are obviously very drastically different. One is around $550, the other is around $2,400. There's a very large gap in there, and I obviously have no idea how much it costs to manufacture either of these machines. I do know that the unbranded machine from Amazon is manufactured in China, and it is much less expensive to manufacture goods overseas. I know that very well in my own business. And I also know that the Sunstone is manufactured in the States, which has a much higher price tag. I don't know if that equals the exact same amount of price difference. I have no idea. I also do know that Sunstone has a team and a website and a brand behind them, which you don't get with the Amazon welder. So I think there's other things to take into consideration besides that. I don't have any video of me setting it up just because I didn't need to film that at the time when I got it a long time ago. So I don't have that footage, but it took me probably about 15 minutes to get it set up and start welding away on it. And on this one, I will insert the footage of me unboxing it right now. I'm getting ready to set up the Amazon welder, and I don't know why, but I'm so nervous. I think just because I've read the reviews on it and they're just not great. So we'll see if it will prove me wrong. I'm very interested to see how this goes. So let's get it set up and then I'm gonna start testing it out. I've got a bunch of jump rings and we'll see how it stacks up, and I will do comparisons and the whole deal. But first, we've got to get this thing set up. I don't have a setup manual or anything, which actually my ORION welder didn't come with the manual either, but since I knew the manufacturer, I could just look online and I saw the manual on there. So I still had access to it, but this doesn't have a name or a logo or anything on it anywhere, so I can't exactly look up the owner's manual. So we're gonna wing it and put it together. Some of it is obvious. I have my stylus. very similar to my other one. So this is a given. I'm just gonna plug this in. This machine in general is just much larger than the Orion is, but on the Orion, everything plugs into the back. On this little spot unplugs. So this is where the stylus is going to plug into. And it does come with this little stand that I can put the stylus in, which is convenient. This is the power source. Again, very self-explanatory. Okay, we're at a point where I'm getting a little confused. This is the grounding wire. Great. It has the little alligator clip, although this looks like, oh, it actually does just slip right up. Okay, so you can see the wires. Wow, I'm actually really surprised. Okay, on the clip, you can see that exposed wire right there. Which just, and then you just push this right into that little area. That's interesting. I've never seen a cover like this. Maybe this is typical. I don't know. It's just weird that you don't have full access to the actual alligator clip. That's kind of annoying, but an alligator clip nonetheless. This I have no idea. Okay, so pliers with this little U-shaped plug-in of some sort. I don't know what this would be for. Like, are these the pliers that I have to use? These aren't even pliers, these are tweezers. I don't know. And then the last thing is this. I have no idea. It looks like a regulator because it does have the little gauge, but there's nothing else in here. So I don't know. It's 4 o'clock, so naturally it's getting dark out already. So I'm sorry if the lighting is a little bit bad. I have been sitting here feeling like an idiot because I got my Orion welder set up really easily and I don't know, I'm not able to figure this out. I'm wondering if you connect the ground clip to this because that would transfer the electric current and then you can use these tweezers. I'm wondering if that's the situation. I don't know. I also feel like I just built IKEA furniture and I have like extra parts and you're not sure if the furniture is going to fall apart without those parts or if they intentionally left parts in the box for extras. So anyway, we're plugged in. This is how I transport my welder. So I have my iPad holder, my magnifying glass, and then my welder with the power cord. So let me show you what it looks like with the other welder in here. The actual welder, and this is the little stylus holder, the stylus and the power cord all fit, but my iPad stand no longer fits, and there's not anywhere else in this stack that my iPad holder would fit. So I don't know that this rolling system would work for me if I had this welder. As far as size goes, the Orion wins by a landslide. The difference is it's not even comparable. So this is the welder. Obviously you can see it is very small and compact. This looks like a computer tower. It is giant. And then this is just the little stylus holder with the stylus pen in there. And actually I wish that my welder came with this because I actually bring the whole stand, this darkening lens, just to hold my stylus. I wish that I had just a small little stylus holder. It wouldn't even have to be as big as this is, just a small little stylus holder so that I didn't have to bring this piece either. Comparing the actual stylus, the Orion is smaller than the Amazon. You can see it is both thinner and shorter, and then the actual cord for the Orion is thicker than it is from the Amazon, and the Orion cord is slightly longer, like maybe 3 inches longer, nothing crazy. But they are both made of the same material, and truly this material is a little bit annoying because it gets caught on everything, so I actually don't like this cord on either of them. The thing that the Sunstone stylus has over the Amazon is that the cord can turn independently of the stylus, where on the Amazon it can't. It's stuck in place. So if you start turning the stylus, the entire cord has to move with it, which is probably even more annoying. I'm annoyed by this one. I can't imagine how I would feel without ever being able to turn it on the Amazon version. I plugged my Argon tank into the Amazon welder, and I did not realize at the time that it was leaking, and then it took up all of my Argon, and I was completely out when I went to go use my Argon again, which was so frustrating because I didn't realize it, and I'm really mad at myself for that. But I cannot get the Argon to not leak on this welder, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have no idea, but I'm gonna show you. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it and see the difference, but I have no clue what it could be. Here are the two machines, and here are the two Argon ports. I've got my tank sitting over here, but here is the hose. So if I stick it into, actually I'll show you right now. You should be able to see at the end, you can see how far the hose goes into the machine. So if I stick it in here, you have to push it in all the way. I just want to be able to show you everything that's going on as clearly as possible. So Sunstone welder with the Argon tube goes down to my Argon tank. Here is my regulator, and my regulator is off right now. You can see that the gauges are at 0. So if I turn it, you can see now the gauges are up, and we'll follow this back up here. You can't hear anything. Again, you can see the Argon is attached to the Amazon welder, and I pushed it in just as far, if not farther, than it is in my Sunstone welder. I pushed it in as far as I possibly could, and then the hose is down, regulator, there you go, regulator is off. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And I'm assuming you can hear that. The Argon situation is not good. I don't know if there's something else that I could be doing. I'm sure that there's a way for it to not leak, but I don't know what that is. And I also don't think that it should be that hard. I don't even know where I would go to figure out what it is, because it looks like the same port that is on my welder. So I would think that it would work the same way. It does not work that way. So I'm sure that there's a fix for it, but I didn't want to mess around with my Argon and my tubing because I need that for my business. So that was just kind of like a big red flag, and it just sucked all of the Argon right out of my tank, and I didn't have any. So maybe that was a faulty port that's on this machine, or maybe that's just, there's something else that I wasn't doing. I don't know, but there's not a way for me to find out. There are a lot of settings on the Amazon welder, which depending on what you're doing could potentially be a good thing, because there's different settings for all different types of metals and how long you want the Argon to go on for and the power and all of that. But for somebody who is not a welder and who is starting out, it's a little bit confusing, especially because there's just no information on what settings you should have it at, which makes it very difficult to learn how to do something. I blew through quite a few jump rings, and I didn't even try it on sterling silver yet, which is normally a little bit different of a setting. So I don't even know what the setting would be on here for sterling silver, but I think I have it down for gold filled. But yeah, it was a lot of trial and error just trying to figure out what setting it should be on, because it's both your power and the time. So instead of just having the one setting like the Sunstone has, you have two settings that you're messing around with both of them. So it's really hard to get like the perfect setting. But in general, if you want to learn this on your own, I highly suggest starting low and going up higher. For both machines, that's just the best way to go. You don't want to start too high and then blow out your jump rings. The other red flag that I've seen lately is people's customers getting burned from the Amazon welder, which is horrifying. And not getting burned where they're getting the bracelet done, getting burned on the other side, meaning that the grounding wire is not working correctly and the heat is going around the bracelet, which that should not happen. And that, I think, is probably because they don't have the same fail-safe that the Sunstone welder has. So if the wire is not grounded properly, it will still weld, where the Sunstone welder will not do that. So that's just a major red flag. I would have to shut down my business. Like, that would be horrifying. I can't even imagine how I would feel if that was me. I hope that that person had really good business insurance, because that is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Another weird thing about this welder is when I went to go replace the electrode, I wanted to use one of my electrodes so that I would have the same exact electrode for both of them, but I could not put a 1mm electrode in here. I think this one is a half, and it just wouldn't let me put something bigger in it. So I'm not really sure why. It looks like it would, but it would not let me. So that's something else to note. If you were welding something much larger, the electrode would not fit in here. I mean, it should. Again, I don't know if mine is just a faulty version or what, because it does look like it expands the same way that the Sunstone does, but mine would not open anymore, so I couldn't get even the 1mm electrode in there. I wanted to show you up close what it looked like welding with each of the welders. With the Amazon welder, you can see the electrode jumps back way farther than it does with the Sunstone welder. The second Amazon weld was much bigger than the first one too, even though it was on the same settings. And then with the Sunstone welder, it seems like every single weld is exactly the same, very predictable. I want to go through and just kind of like speed round and rate each category for these welders. I think the biggest hurdle for people as far as the Sunstone goes is the price tag, which I totally get. It's a lot of money to spend. I will say that I did make that money back within a couple of events, so I don't think that should be your only deterrent if you are interested in starting this business. But the price tag is obviously much higher than it is for the Amazon welder. As far as design goes, Sunstone definitely wins that. It's smaller, more compact, lighter, easier to transport, which in this business is really important. It looks better, it's less clunky. The design is just superior. The actual outcome, I think, turned out pretty similarly. I didn't use Argon on either of them because I wanted it to be a fair playing ground, and I could not get the Argon to work on the Amazon version, so I just didn't use Argon on either of them. I think they turned out very, very similarly. I don't know as far as long term how consistent that would be. At the end of the day, I got the Amazon welder to work, and the outcome was very similar to the Sunstone welder. But there is kind of a caveat to that, and it's that it's not consistent every single time. With my Sunstone welder, when I weld, as long as I have a clean and sharp electrode, I know exactly what to expect every time I hit that seam. And with the Amazon, it almost seemed like even if it was on the same settings, not every single weld would be the same. And I have no idea why that was, but because of that, I don't know that I would offer this for permanent jewelry. Permanent jewelry is a luxury experience that people are paying for, and they're paying a premium for it. So I want to make sure that I have the best equipment to offer to my customers. And so the fact that I couldn't get the Argon to work, I couldn't get my 1mm electrode to go into the Stylus, it's harder to transport. And some of the stuff I've seen online about people getting burned, those are the reasons that I personally would go with the Sunstone. I just think that investing in your business, if you're really serious about it, is just always the way to go. Those are all of my thoughts about the welders. Let me know what your opinion is down below. I would love to hear about it. Which welder do you have? Which one were you thinking about getting? I'd love to know all of your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.